Mommy and Me. Ivanka Trump takes daughter Arabella to a Supreme Court hearing to teach her about the judicial system. While Grandpa Donald keeps disparaging judges, Ivanka Trump took daughter Arabella to the Supreme Court of the United States on Wednesday morning for a field trip that was both fun and educational. Arabella, 5, not only got to take a look around the building, but also got to watch as oral arguments were being made in a case before the 8 justices who are currently on the bench. Ivanka later posted a photo of her visit to the Supreme Court with Arabella, who was carrying a goose feather quill, and wrote about how exciting it was to give her daughter a first-hand look at the branch of government her grandfather is least fond of these days. Arabella and I visited the Supreme Court this morning and attended a hearing, wrote Ivanka on the post. I'm grateful for the opportunity to teach her about the judicial system in our country firsthand. The tone of Ivanka's tweet was markedly different than the ones President Trump has been sending out over the past few weeks, including one in which he declared, "Our legal system is broken." Arabella was seen smiling as she left the Supreme Court with her mother, despite the fact that the hearing she attended may have been a little but dull and far too difficult to understand for the youngster. The court calendar lists Kindred Nursing Center's limited partnership v. Clark as the arguments being heard on Wednesday. At the center of that case is the issue of whether the Federal Arbitration Act preempts a state law contract rule that singles out arbitration by requiring a power of attorney to expressly refer to arbitration agreements before the attorney in fact can bind her principal to an arbitration agreement, according to SCOTUS blog. Ivanka was invited to attend by Justice Anthony Kennedy, and she and Arabella sat in a section that is open only to select guests and friends of the court. The two reportedly met for the first time at a lunch following President Trump's swearing-in ceremony last month, at which point Justice Kennedy extended the offer. Justice Kennedy is viewed as a conservative judge, but has in recent years tended to vote with his liberal colleagues on cases dealing with social issues, most notably in 2015, when he cast the deciding vote in favor of legalizing same-sex marriage. He wrote the majority opinion in that case, which has become one of the most famous decisions in the history of the Supreme Court. Justice Kennedy is also the longest-serving judge on the bench since the death of Antonin Scalia last February, having been confirmed by the Senate in 1988 after Ronald Reagan nominated him to join the court. The court has yet to replace Justice Scalia in the year since his death after Republicans blocked Barack Obama's nominee Merrick Garland, but President Trump's nominee Neil Gorsuch is set to appear before the Senate on March 20. There have also been rumors that Justice Kennedy might retire at the end of this term, which could explain why Trump chose Gorsuch to join the bench as he clerked for the 80-year-old judge during the 1993-94 term. The midweek field trip came on the same week that many schools are on their February break, and it appears that Arabella's new learning institution in Washington, D.C. is one of them. Ivanka was seen leaving her $5.5 million home early Wednesday in the back of a black SUV to head to the Supreme Court with Arabella and a Secret Service agent. Her exit came shortly after husband Jared Kushner took off for his unpaid job as President Trump's senior advisor, wearing his standard uniform of a dark-colored skinny suit and white shirt. Kushner did mix things up a bit by wearing a gray tie as opposed to his typical black. President Trump has taken issue with the judicial system countless times in the past, using his Twitter account to lash out at judges who do not rule in his favor. His current anger stems from a decision made by the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit, who upheld a block on the travel ban her issued in an executive order late last month that banned the citizens of 7 Muslim-majority nations from entering the country. Shortly after the judges announced their unanimous decision, Trump wrote on Twitter, "See you in court, the security of our nation is at stake." President Trump had been just as angry a few days prior when the ban was first blocked by a judge in Seattle, writing, "The opinion of this so-called judge, which essentially takes law enforcement away from our country, is ridiculous and will be overturned." He did not stop there either, later adding, "What is our country coming to when a judge can halt a Homeland Security travel ban and anyone, even with bad intentions, can come into U.S.?" That was followed by a tweet that read, "Because the ban was lifted by a judge, many very bad and dangerous people may be pouring into our country." A terrible decision, and the next day, President Trump was still upset, writing, "Just cannot believe a judge would put our country in such peril. If something happens, blame him and court system. People pouring in. Bad." This month alone, President Trump has used his Twitter account to criticize judges and their decisions over 10 times. He even threatened to take the Ninth Circuit ruling to the Supreme Court in hopes of having it overturned, but it seems that he has adopted a new strategy with the recent news that he will be presenting an updated order banning immigration. President Trump may want to change that strategy, however, especially now that his daughter has a new friend in Washington, D.C. with a lot of power and say when it comes to Supreme Court decisions. Justice Kennedy's legal reasoning immigration ruling could play a pivotal role in deciding the fate of travel ban if the High Court eventually decides the matter. The case involved an Afghan-born naturalized U.S. citizen named Fawzia Din, who argued she had the right for a full explanation from the U.S. government as to why her Afghan husband was denied entry. The justices ruled 5-4 against her. On its face, the ruling would seem to help the administration in its defense of the president's January 27 executive order, which temporarily barred entry into the United States by people from 7 Muslim-majority nations and put on hold the entry of refugees. Lower courts have blocked the order, but the administration may ask the Supreme Court to revive it. Justice Kennedy also oversees the Ninth Circuit, meaning that he handles all appeals having to do with the court.